is what Spine of a Queen exists for. Your self-trust becomes unshakable. Your sense of internal safety becomes unshakable. Your sense of internal power becomes uncircumstantial. New life unlocked. The world has taught us some of the most fundamentally useless ways of thinking about success that actually go against our biology when it comes to achievement and happiness, success and peace. We are taught to push through pain at any cost, to use pressure to persist, focus on the goal, and do whatever it takes to get there. This is useful if the goal is to not starve to death. But success by any means necessary comes at a remarkable cost to our future self. Our mantra around here is not a penny from pressure, only pleasure. The More Alive podcast exists to lead us into a new way of achieving and replace outdated advice that threaten the dream life that actually makes us feel more alive. I'm your host, Andrea Crowder, mom, truth teller, and lover of daydreaming, here to help create a world where we all feel more alive. Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the More Alive podcast. I am your host, Andrea Crowder. I have a solo episode for you today, which I haven't done in quite some time, so this feels so amazing to just get to spend some intimate time with you guys and share some stuff that's tough to talk about and super vulnerable, and something that as feminine leaders, I think the majority of us experience. So today is an episode of airing my dirty laundry where I fucked up. And we're going to talk about the process of letting people go from our teams. Like, nobody in this world gets excited to fire someone. Well, I don't know, maybe narcissists and people who are like totally heartless, but like feminine leaders, we dread this process. For the most part. I don't know. I can't say that's true for everyone, but I would say it's true for a lot of the women listening to this podcast. Number one, we're afraid we're going to appear cold. And we typically, I feel like anybody who's listening to this podcast, like, we want people to feel open to us and to feel like, well, like we have their backs, and that we're loyal and all of these things that like essentially say like, this is who I am and this is how I want you to know me. We are taught as little girls to carry and to not lead. When I say carry, I mean like carry other people's emotions, right? Not necessarily like carry other people. And not saying that the other person is asking for this. It's just like a lot of times it's that first gut response of like, ooh, let me say this softly, and like, let me bubble wrap this just to make sure that I protect their feelings. And this is what I did when I was letting go of someone from my team, and it really, really backfired on me. And it was an awful experience all around, for me, for her, for my team. And this is me taking total responsibility of how this went down. Oftentimes we take a really long time to let go of people because we feel bad, right? Like, again, it's that carry versus lead. Most female founders that I know that I've spoken to since I started talking about this behind the scenes, talking to my friends of women who are running multi 6, 7, and 8-figure businesses, and a lot of the time they knew anywhere between like 6 to 12 months before they actually let someone go. It's like such a painful, slow lead up of the inevitable. They knew pretty quick, or like it got to the point where it was like, okay, this fit doesn't make sense anymore. This isn't working for whatever reason. That part doesn't even really matter. Whether like the work wasn't getting done or it wasn't getting done on time, or whether there was like a conflict in culture, or like, it just doesn't matter. But you get that gut feeling and you're like, okay, this isn't working anymore. And then we wait, and then we manage emotionally. We're like, they're trying. Maybe I'm not doing enough. We start to like gaslight ourselves. And I want to say, when it comes to like letting people go, this doesn't mean like somebody's not insanely talented. It doesn't mean somebody isn't bright. It doesn't mean somebody isn't an amazing, amazing asset to a team. It just means that like it's either run its course for yours, or it wasn't ever the right fit in the first place, and you couldn't see that until you could. So for me, it was a great fit until it wasn't. And then it was like, okay, this has run its course in and how the dynamic of our relationship is showing up, right? And the hard thing for us as women, or at least I'll just speak for myself on this one, is when I bring people into my team, they become my family. And like, there's no lines for me. And I can't say that that's the right decision. I can't say that it's the wrong decision. It's just for me, it is how I want to run my business. Like, I desire to like bring people into my world and um, to to know who they are and to know what their big dreams are, even beyond my brand, to know like what makes their heart tick, to know who their family is, to like my people become like sisters to me. Like, we have seriously been through some of the craziest life moments together, some of the hardest life moments together. And so when the relationship, the professional relationship dynamic starts to change, it's so difficult. It's so difficult because there's love and that stays true. And then there's correctness about the dynamic of the relationship now. And that's true too. And holding the duality of that is one of the most difficult things on earth. And I can see why this was so hard for me. I can see why it took so long for me. Like, there was a lot of blended emotion of like, I love you. Like, I would fly across the country in a second for you. Like, literally, there's been so many times where like, stuff has gone down on my team where I'm like, say the word and I'm booking a ticket. I'll be there in hours. Like, and team members, the same for me. Like, I've gone through some of the most difficult times of like my house fire and floods, and like, and team members have literally gotten on planes to help me. So again, like, the muddiness of this is so nuanced. It's so intertwined. It's literally, I think, one of the hardest things as feminine leaders that we go through, beyond like our own inner growth of like our identity shifts. So then there's like, well, this person has done so much for me, like I feel like I'm giving up on them. And I really felt that way in my marriage too. Like, I feel like I'm giving up on like our relationship. And like, the most difficult thing is when it comes to a company is like, I still have to run a business. I still have to honor my purpose and why I'm here. And part of why I'm here is to learn myself through these messy moments. I really believe that. Like, to learn who I am when it is that sticky. To learn how honest, how clear, how loving, how concise I can be. And I've just been fucking awful at this, if I'm being totally honest. It took like, this was the hardest thing that I've ever learned about myself as a leader. I think a lot of times we think that we're being really compassionate in how we approach it. And the truth is, looking back, I was so afraid. And that my biggest fear, it's always loss, right? Like, it comes back to like, I love this person. And if I say this doesn't work professionally anymore, do I lose them forever? So this isn't an easy thing, when you've like built a business with people that you love so much. I remember like talking to my psychic, and she's like, Andrea, that like you can keep doing this. And I'm just like, but like, will I lose them? She actually told me no, and she was wrong. And that's okay. Because even though I can look back and I can be like, God, there's so much love and like it sucks that like this is how that went down. I'm so proud of what I learned about myself and who I've become in the process. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. So the tone of this conversation isn't how to be a badass, how to be a cold, heartless bitch. It's literally actually quite the opposite. It's how to get into the center of your heart and stay there even when you're afraid. Because I believe that is the most elite level of leadership skill that you can ever learn in love, in business, in life, anywhere. It's to be right there in the center of your heart and be like, fuck, both of these are true and I'm afraid. And still, if I don't make this choice, I'm abandoning my truth and then I have to suffer that. So, either way, the path is suffering, either for a short period of time or a long period of time. Which path do I want to choose? And what I learned about myself as a leader that was true for a really long time was that through my dynamics of learning how to receive and hold love as a child, the identity that was created in my blueprint of like how I love and how I receive love is that it is safer to be needed than to be met. And so this caused me to stay in relationships where people needed me more. And that was such a poor dynamic to build a relationship off of. I couldn't see it then, but I can see it now. And like, if you and I have built a relationship off of that dynamic, like, I am so sorry. Humaning, man, is like, wow. So here's what I didn't do before is like, as a business owner, I thought I was like leading with heart, leading with love, but like I never tallied the cost, not just practically and financially, but emotionally for both parties. I never tallied how much it would cost because the moment I knew is not the moment that I decided and moved. Well, the the moment I wondered wasn't the time where I sat down and I got curious and I removed all my triggers so I could see what was actually true. The moment I knew it, I moved, but I know I could have known it before. And I think that, again, it's like all of the fears of like, I love this person. Will I lose them? Like, what will it be like in the dynamic of my life and my business without them? Like, will I be okay? Will I be able to find somebody who's as amazing as they are? Or who can like get the job done or like whatever the truth is, depending on that dynamic of that person. And so, like I said, nuance, complexity. And there was a significant amount of pain in the process that I noticed, not just for the person that is like really inspiring this conversation today, but like actually, several people in my past where like I didn't have the courage to sit down and look at the truth. The old pattern was just glaring and made it muddy. And the hard thing for me to admit, I mean, it doesn't feel hard now, but it did feel hard at first, is I do this work. This is my job. My job is to move the pain, move the triggers, move the distortion, get into truth, and then what do you know? It's just the pattern had been there for so long, I didn't see it as a distortion. It didn't feel like one. It felt like love. It felt like compassion. It did feel like truth in the moment. I did think it was truth in the moment until I moved the triggers. And then I was like, oh, I see. I see. So I wasn't, as a leader, looking at like, okay, what's the real cost here? What is this costing me emotionally by this, and literally because it's taking a lot of my time. Like we just think about it and talk about it and worry about it over and over for a very long period of time, 6, 12 months, maybe longer, depending on the person and like the scenario. I mean, how long in marriages that have like already passed their expiration point, because of fear. And like, will I be okay without them? What do I have to learn about myself in the process? It could be confronting. I wrote a post yesterday on Instagram, and the post basically said the thing I fear most is not being able to see the truth about myself and where I thought I was right, but I was actually wrong. And even deeper, I fear not being able to admit that aloud. I no longer fear being misunderstood. I fear misunderstanding. Because the cost, immediate and long term, of misunderstanding is significantly greater than the moments of being misunderstood. And I see that so clearly now, especially after I like looked for the roots of my fear of being misunderstood, my fears of loss. And once I cleared those and those weren't existing and I could just see truth with like love, compassion, and heart and be in my heart and just look at things more neutrally, to hold what I call the spine of a queen, which is like essentially being in your heart. And then what do you know? And then what do you choose? And then what do you say? If that fear isn't misguiding you. So that is what I fear now more than anything. I fear not being able to see the truth about myself and where I was wrong. And more importantly, being able to admit that aloud. And the interesting thing that made me think about this was like I've told many stories about like how I was pretty frozen around restoring my house with the house fire because insurance initially wasn't going to pay out all of the money, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm at a stalemate. They're not paying me more money, then I have to pay this like extra essentially like 100K out of my pocket. Let me just like wait and see if like we can create a new agreement where they will pay me the money. And then I was like not restoring the house with the money that they had given me. I mean, I had done some of the restoration, but I was getting towards the end of the money that they had given me. And I'm like, I don't know what decisions to make. I'm scared that I'm going to make a mistake. Like if I choose this, is it going to cost me an extra, $10,000, $20,000 if I make the wrong decision, especially when you're restoring a whole house that's totally been gutted and you don't know anything about contractors and you don't understand how to read these invoices or the blueprints, and you're just like trusting people along the way, and this is not my zone of genius. And I was just frozen, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna like pause the restoration of the home because I'm scared to make the wrong move, and I'm scared for it to cost me an extra $10,000 to $20,000. But then I never calculated the cost of my house being empty for an extra 12 months, and I still have to pay a mortgage on it. That cost me almost $70,000. That was way more than a $10,000 to $20,000 mistake. But I wasn't looking at all the details. What are all of the costs? Where are the gain opportunities? Where are the where are the costs? And then when I play it all out, like this is a great time to use AI as a thought partner and say, help me think about this. Like, where are all the costs that I could not be thinking of emotionally and literally? Such a great time. If you guys have Legend AI, like she crushes here. So in this case, the team member that I had let go, this isn't calculating like the time it took me to make this decision. This was calculating the time I made the decision and then was so afraid of being the person to make a decision and have a negative outcome for her that I was like, you know what? I'll just leave you on until you like replace this income, thinking it was like, it'll take like a couple of months or so. And like, I'm here to support you. And that all just got awkward. That just got so icky and awkward. And like, I can see that. And I can see how like weird that felt for her. Even though I clarified that like, this is coming to an end. Like once you've replaced this income, then like we'll complete this. But then we got to a point where like that hadn't happened. And then I was like, okay, everyone on the team now is like, I don't know how to move. I don't know. Like, do I include this person in my project? Like, this project is going to take X number of months. Like, are they leading it? Like, what's going on? And then everybody's seeing me unable to make a decision, and I'm losing trust like crazy from everyone outside of myself, but significant self trust every day of like, you're not moving, you're not moving, you're not moving. So here I am paying, like, by that point, I said, like, this is complete with this like iteration. I did this twice with two different team members. And then I paid an extra $35,000 in additional salary because I was afraid to let her stand as a sovereign woman. Because I was thinking, like, I can help, I should. Not asking my heart, is this right? The fear was too loud. I thought it was love. It was fear. Not only that, but like when I had the conversation with her, I gave her a truth, but not the truth. And this is the part that like I grapple with. And like, and she called me out on it. She was like, Andrea, I don't feel like I'm getting the whole truth from you. And I needed her to say that. So I share with her, I'm like, I really feel like I see this for you and see this for your career. And I feel like I'm holding you back. Like, I sense that like maybe you don't want to be here. You're like, you're not as engaged as much as you used to be. And even though all of that was true, it wasn't the whole truth. And she called me out on it. She's like, this is vague. And if you think that this is why this is what I want, this isn't what I want. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm being a little bitch here. And I thanked her. I was like, okay, thank you for calling me out on that. You're right. And then I gave very precise reasons of like, this dynamic doesn't work here, 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 and here. And that was tough for me to give. But what was even more tough was the in between in which I knew I should have and I didn't. That like muddy space where everyone's just like in vague energy. And that was just, I just made the whole situation more difficult because I was like, oh, I don't want to like hurt her feelings. I don't want to like, I don't want to like hurt her confidence, etc. Just all bullshit. I thought it was about her. It wasn't. It was about me. It was about my fear of what I would feel if I was misunderstood, if she was angry, if this, and this. It was about me and how I would feel. It was about me and what I would think of me. Of like, I said that this, like, I said loyalty is important to me, team is important to me, even though I do go off the premise of like, I reserve the right to change my mind about anything, anyone, anytime. And I've said that for years. I wasn't. Once it got too nuanced and too like intertwined, like I wasn't. And that cost more than like the $35,000 in salary when every single person on my team was like now kind of tiptoeing around in that we don't know what's happening. Now all of a sudden projects are getting really slow. They're getting really delayed. I'm actually watching my income go down and down and down. And I'm not even tracking that it's because of like the difficult dynamic that's going on. I wasn't even tracking it. And I've had conversations with women just in the last like week or two that have said really similar things. Like, someone that I was talking to, she's like, I paid an extra $55,000 in her salary. And it took me a year to let her go. Another person said it took me 9 months to let someone go. She's like, between her and then paying the wrong coaches, $100K flushed down the toilet. Like, we don't think about that. We don't think about that. And you know, the hardest thing is like, had I used my own techniques, I would have cleared these triggers in 20 minutes and then I would have been able to tell the truth and there would have been none of that. I would have been clear. It would have been from my heart. It would have been loving. She would have received like me honoring her as a sovereign woman versus like me leading the energy of like, let me hold you, let me protect you, let me fucking disempower you. Like, but that's not what I was thinking in the moment, but that is what I was doing. That's hard to admit when I'm so here for women, when I'm so here for power, when I'm so here for truth. And I was not holding that. I was not holding the conversation. I was not holding the relationship from that power. I was holding that relationship from fear. I thought I was being kind. I was not being kind. That was a power collapse. And it costs us as entrepreneurs. It costs our business. It costs our purpose. It costs our future. It costs our community because we're not like reaching the people who are meant for this at this time in this moment. Anywhere between like 5 to 6 figures in real money. Like, dare you send me a message and tell me if like it's cost you more? Because, and I'm not just talking about like the salary that you paid when it wasn't the right fit anymore, but I'm talking about what it costs you to not have the person who was right to be in the driver's seat. And when I say right fit, I mean like right person, right time, right skill set, all coming together. Like, and then what it costs the other person. We don't think about like what's it cost for this person to invest another 6 to 12 months of their life into my brand when I already know this is going to have to come to an end. I just don't know how to do it, and I don't know when. What could they have done in that 6 to 12 months for themselves? Like, those are the other things that we don't think about. It's not just the money, it's like the energy spent, it's the opportunities missed for both parties, it's trust lost from your team watching you carry from fear, and then the belief in yourself that plummets every time you know it, but you don't make the call. And then you ask yourself, can I really hold this? Can I really hold this thing that like God has placed on my heart to do? The amount of self-trust that I lost was the thing that cost me the most. And it took me months to rebuild it. It took me months. And the problem is that like when we're in it, it doesn't feel like 50K or 100K. It just feels like one more month, one more conversation. We're trying, we're like almost getting somewhere. Like we've got a second of like getting our footing back, and then like we lose it again, but we're like, oh, but we did get it back. So if we did then, we can again. The cost is invisible until it's not. Until we actually sit down and do the math. And we're like, what's this costing me? What's it costing them? What's it costing my team? Emotionally and literally. This isn't just about letting people go. It's about every decision where we hesitate, ending a partnership, leaving a relationship, firing a client, closing a program, making any call that requires us to choose what is right over being liked, our power or fear, love or fear, our calling or fear. The pattern is the same. You know, but you can't move. So you lie to yourself and say, oh, it's not time. It's not that bad. But it is time. And we know it. Deep, deep, deep underneath the layers of all of the stories, we know it. We're just afraid of like being seen as too harsh or hurting someone's feelings or being the bad guy, being misunderstood, being called selfish or uncaring. So we wait, and the cost compounds. $5,000 turns into $60,000, and then our self-trust goes in the toilet. So what do we do about that? If it's okay, we do one of two things. One, you just decide, I'm just not going to be that person anymore. I'm just not going to hesitate ever again. I'm not going to let fear control me. That can be a choice. Or there's also another option on the table. And you could, if you're like, I don't care about the other option, that's exactly what I need to hear, you can literally just like turn this podcast off right now. But if you're like, Andrea, tell me what's behind door number 2. I have had some of the most explosive lessons come through my business and come through my life, not just in this experience. Like, this has been deep for me. This has been like the last 12 months of my life. I have been in it, in it, seeing all of the micro areas where I collapse, even just a little bit, where like I hesitate because I'm like a little annoyed. And a lot of these, like I call them micro triggers that are like taking us out of our power. that are taking us out of our power. Um, I call them like paper cuts. Like one paper cut, not a problem. You don't run to the surgeon and you're like, please sew me up. Oh my God, I'm going to bleed out. You're like, I'm fine, right? And we don't really like change our day over a paper cut, but try getting 1,000 paper cuts and now we have a little bit of a problem. This is like death by 1,000 paper cuts. And when we have all of these little micro triggers that say the way I receive love is to either brace or collapse, brace or collapse, brace or collapse, just for a little bit, just for a couple of days, even if for the next like just for 48 hours, just pay attention to your spine. I kept hearing the words over the summer, Andrea, correct your spine, correct your spine, correct your spine. At first, it was like, oh, let me not say it this way so I don't hurt my partner's feelings. And that's where it was like coming up the most. Or then it was happening in business where I would say something to a team member where I'm like, I don't really like the result of this project, but let me like really bubble wrap it and I'll just tell them a little bit of what I didn't like, not the whole truth. And I'm like, holy fucking shit, this is everywhere. This is everywhere. This is an infestation of micro collapses of all these paper cuts. And the thought that kept occurring for me, like this was the primary one, which was like, I don't need much. I would just say that over and over, like, I don't need much, just this. And my relationship with my man and my relationship with my team, where it's just like, let's just do, like, this is just perfect. Because I would look at like what I believed their capacity was, and then I would ask for that. Even if I needed more. Because my story, my blueprint that says, here's your blueprint, here's your recipe on how you receive love. This is your recipe on how you receive being met, getting your needs met, which is need less. So I would need less and be less in order to receive. So the dynamics of my relationships for a long time was like, I'll give 7, you give 30, and this is even. Girl math. Trauma math. That was a recipe to build plaque in the arteries of the love of the relationship. So eventually there was a heart attack and death. And I let it. I let it. My blueprint let it. I wasn't conscious of it until I was. And the thing that created the level of consciousness was like this one day, I was like, you know, when you have an argument in your head, but not actually with the real person? Oh, just me? Don't lie. All of us, where I was like having an argument with my man in my head, but like we weren't actually arguing. And I just kept saying like, I don't need much, because I was over, like I had an old blueprint show up as soon as we moved in together. It started like coming out, and it was like, and it was fast at first. I saw some of it, I slowed it down, and then it sped back up. And I was like, by the end of the summer, I was like, are we going to even be able to live together? I was actually looking for apartments. I was like, I don't think this is going to work. And I remember I heard myself say again, I don't need much. And it was like my big sister was like, when the fuck did we become the person that asks for the bare minimum? When the fuck did we become that person? That's not who we said we are. You said you wanted a love that freezes time, which means that man is able to move mountains for you. And I was like, I have a man that will move mountains for me. That man would build a bridge when he has no blueprint, no ability to do any of that, no resources. He would acquire the resources. He would acquire the team. He would innovate how it would get done, and it would get done fast. If like the earth split and I was on the other side, he would find a way. He would build what didn't exist into existence for me. I knew that with my whole heart. And I was like, why am I creating a dynamic where I'm just like, I need less and less and less and less, to the point where I then become resentful because now I'm not getting my needs met? Problem. So I kept hearing the words like, correct your spine, correct your spine. And when I did that, I was like, wait, I literally feel braced, like my shoulders had shrunk. Or it was just like, just be a little bit less right now. Just be a little bit less right now. So for 48 hours, if you're willing, just notice how many times you do that, where either you brace, because it's like you're preparing for the old story to stay true, of like, I'm not going to get what I need. And you either prepare to fight, demand, draw boundaries, cry, scream, whatever, or you like shrink and you're just like, I didn't really need it. I'm so sorry. I love you. And just to like make sure the whole situation is okay, because your sense of safety has been your sense of safety, our sense of safety. Like this was true for me until I saw the pattern and I was like, oh, now that I can see it, I know exactly what the fuck to do about this. But my sense of safety was circumstantial. My sense of power was circumstantial. Everything outside of me was influencing whether I was able to stay in my truth and stay in my power based off of my blueprint for how I receive. Once I saw that, I changed the blueprint. And then I didn't collapse anymore. It didn't even occur to me to collapse. All of a sudden, I just have tall posture. Like, I swear to God, if you had measured me in like August versus now, you would have been like, whoa, you went down to 5'5", you're back up to almost 5'6". Like, it would be interesting if I had thought to do that. But hindsight's 2020. Anyway, so I was like developing this concept within myself. This wasn't for other people. It was just like, this is just what I need for me. And then of course, as people who do the work that you and I probably do, like what's for us is for all. And I was like, okay, hold your posture, like correct your spine, correct your spine. And then I went on this rant on in one of my communities where I was like, when did my crown fall off? When did I feel like I had to like earn my rest in my home? When I was like on my period and I was like coming up with this whole presentation as to like why it was okay for me to actually lay down because I was in so much pain. My man didn't ask that of me. My man is like, you're in pain, lay down, I love you. Right. But like, I felt like I needed to develop this whole presentation around like, look what I've done this. And like, so I'm going to lay down for a little bit and then I'll be back to keep like basically driving myself into the ground. Like, I didn't even clock the blueprint at first because I wasn't existing like that before. It truly was like when the dynamic changed of me moving back and being intimately in the same setting and sharing like finances, sharing space again with like a romantically intimate man. That's when it was this like crash, which was amazing because like all of this came through. But by the end of it, I realized I was developing this process for myself called Spine of a Queen. Spine of a Queen is like independent of what's going outside of me. I can look at it with neutrality. I can look at it with curiosity and can just be like, oh, curious. Versus like if he withdrew his love for a little bit where he was like, okay, I'm processing. So like he kind of puts his heart wall up, that would collapse me. There were days where I couldn't get any work done. It would collapse me. During this time when like he and I were not okay, I had the worst month I ever had in my business. It was so confronting and so disrupting that like I couldn't not see it at that point. I was like, well, I really need to figure out what is happening here or I have to move out. At first my thought was like, wait, is it true? Can we not have the legacy? Can we not have the 7-figure business, the purpose, like the love that freezes time and have all of that together? I really started to wonder until I saw the pattern and the collapse where all of those little micro triggers throughout every single day that was like, be less to enjoy some, be less to get some love. And that's when it all broke open. That is when I developed the concept for the spine of a queen. So the spine of a queen is essentially a 12-month container where I'm going to take women through every area of your life from January through December of next year, where we will go through every time you have even the most smallest micro collapse and we'll correct the data, correct the blueprint that says be less to receive love, need less to receive love, carry more to receive love, yell louder to receive love, like draw boundaries to receive love versus just presence and saying, this is where I am. This is how things are. And you'll meet me here because like, that's who you are too, right? Like you'll meet me here in the presence of truth because I trust us both, right? Before, what I was doing is I was sending these micro messages of like stress points where like all my nonverbal communication that was happening to my man was like, I'm afraid right now. I don't trust us. I don't trust the situation. I don't trust myself and I don't trust you because I'm in a point of stress and I just put my heart wall up. As soon as I would collapse, my heart wall would go up and it would be like shrink, 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 or get mad. Either way, like one or the other, like both dynamics existed during different circumstances. And then what I was signaling to him at a subconscious level was like, hey, I'm guarded. You should be too. I wasn't saying that, but like that's what my biology was signaling to him. So my heart wall went up, his went up right after it, and then we were just at stalemate, 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 stalemate. When I saw it through my romantic relationship dynamic, I saw it everywhere. I saw it in my relationship with social media. I saw it in my relationship with visibility. I saw it in my relationship with being a well-known author someday. I saw it in my relationship with like how I lead as a team. Was before I was like, I love you, you're my best friend, you're my sister, versus like, I'm leading this movement and you can trust me to like hold it under all conditions. I held it under a lot of conditions. Like, I do have to give myself a little credit. I wasn't always collapsed. It was, but sometimes I was. Like, sometimes I look back and I'm like, God, it's like my Virgo energy was like, I fucked that whole thing up. That's not true. I I will give myself credit. There were times where like things were dicey, things were, made me afraid, and I held my posture. I held what I call now the spine of a queen. I was neutral. I did the work. I saw the trigger. I cleared the trigger. I showed back up. I like brought my energy back into the container. I led us. I said, here's the vision. Here's where we're going. A lot of times that's where I was, but in some dynamics, that is not the truth either. So both coexist. So I developed the spine of a queen because number one, our magnetism is based off of full presence. Alignment just means like your spiritual body's here, your physical body, your emotional body, and your mental body are all in agreement with what's going on. So like your soul's purpose is do this right now with this person. And your thoughts are like, yep, that's what we're doing. This is who we are. Your emotions are like, yep, that's what we're doing. This is who we are. And then your heart is like, yep, that's what we're doing. And this is who we are. There's no conflict of like, I can't do this. This isn't going to work for me. I'm afraid. Let me just be a little bit less in order to receive this. There's none of that. It's like, it's the whole signal that you're sending is like, all of me is here. I'm present. I'm in my heart. I trust myself. I trust us. I trust the situation and I trust you. Even if you don't like what I have to say, all of those remain true. My internal sense of safety is unshakable. My internal sense of power, unshakable. My ability to receive truth and even difficult truth, unshakable. I'm here. I'm fully here. All of me is here. Mind, body, spirit. That's the spine of a queen. It's all of us is here, present in the moment, even when we're afraid. My heart is open. I'm in it. I'm accessing the divine truth of it, even while I'm afraid. This is leadership through true, honest, difficult vulnerability. Again, elite level of leaderships. Most people don't even know what's going on with their body. They don't ask the questions. They just lead with their triggers and then they don't know why that they're shutting people down. They look outside of themselves like I did. And I was like with my partner, Keith, I was like, oh, he's the problem here. I'm not because I'm doing the work. I do the work. That was the story I was telling myself in my head, even though it was my heart wall was triggering his heart wall to go down and then creates this emotional stalemate because now we can't connect. We can't feel each other. Nobody feels safe. If you're the problem, you're also the solution. So I am taking applications. Those applications are, the spots have already begun filling. I'm going to take 25 women max. I'm not doing intensives in 2026. I'm not taking one-on-one private clients in 2026. The only intimate work that I'm doing with people is these 25 women in Spine of a Queen. I just sent out an email today saying like I'm not doing intensives next year. So if you want an intensive, I have a couple spots in 2025 in the first 3 weeks of December. Otherwise, nothing again until 2027 unless you're in Spine of a Queen. So what we'll do in Spine of a Queen is as these micro triggers come up where you're just like, oh, I felt hesitation, you bring it to me, I clear it. You're like, oh, I felt a big trigger here. You bring it to me, I clear it. And this is going on in real time. So that if you're like, you know what, I'm too triggered to have this conversation, let me pull out, let me clear the trigger so I can stand in my truth. And then I can bring truth and presence to this conversation. Number one, like conflict just dissolves like that because you can look at the situation. You can be like, you know what, that was on me. I'm really sorry. If apologizing is really difficult and takes some time for you, it doesn't for the Spine of a Queen. She can recognize where she was fucked up and she's like, I own that. I'm sorry, I was triggered. I responded in my trigger. I'm really sorry how I approached that. And like, I'm fully present. I'm here and I'm ready to hear you now. And like, I want to like see you, know you, understand you. And like, here's where I'm devoted to this being better in a relationship with the client, in a relationship with a team member, in a relationship with a loved one, a family member, a kid. Here's what I love the most about what we're doing with these 25 women. These women's grandchildren are going to live a very different life because the inheritance that they'll receive, my triggers were passed down to me. The triggers that my daughter has was passed down to her. I'm undoing that now, but it took me a long time to even see what I was doing and to know how to undo it. Now I've been working with her for the last many years, but there's still work to do because, you know, I told her growing up, I'm like, the one thing I promise you is I will fuck you up and I'll pay for the therapy because I just didn't know how I was going to fuck her up. But imagine a world that's built around the feminine spark, around feminine intuition, around feminine magnetism, around feminine gifts, where a little girl, it's like her entire environment is fostered around that for her entire life. Where she doesn't have to go on this journey where she's like, I lost my spark, I have to find it again. Because she builds with her spark in mind. She builds with her spark as the fuel, not the cost. Unfortunately, what most women do, especially female entrepreneurs, but actually that's not true. This is even in like for stay-at-home moms. I was a stay-at-home mom for I don't know, like a year and a half or so. So like my personal experience was that, well, even like in my just being a mother period, whether I was a stay-at-home mom or not, and like the women that I know, it's like our conditioning in our inheritance is like give everything even when you have nothing. So our spark is the cost. And then, but it does cost our family. When we're exhausted, when we're short, when we're triggered, when we're passing down triggers. Like I love that by the end of 2026, these women are going to be levitating. They're going to be like, I've never felt this good in my body in my entire life. They will be levitating. I swear to God, I'm walking around levitating today. In fact, it's not even going to take 12 months. That part's going to come probably in the first 3 months where they're like, I can't even believe how I feel. I am not the same person. By the end of the year, I keep telling everybody, I'm like, I'm bringing in a messaging expert because who you guys are in business will be so different. You'll need new messaging. So at the end of the year, we're going to have a messaging expert come in and like get to know everyone and like talk about like who you are now and like what's your positioning for your business, because that will guarantee change. But even more than that, like your granddaughter will never know to thank you for the work that you're saying yes to now. She won't even know to thank you, and it won't even occur to you to like let her know. Her world will be fostered around our spark is the fuel, not the cost, always. That's just what she'll know in her cells. And if anybody tries to get her to people please or self betray, she's just going to be like, that's sweet. Thank you for asking. No, I love us too much to do that. So I'll be here. And if you want to meet me, this is where I'll be. And she'll call them up. She will not go down to them. You will call the people in your world up. You will not go down to them. It won't even occur to you by the end of 12 months together. It won't even occur to you. You won't have to fight it. You won't have to mindset your way through it. It will just be like your posture is so sure with 12 months of this work that it wouldn't even occur to you, and you will look at them with the most love and reverence. And even if they're like, I'm not willing to show up for myself right now, I'm pretty committed to like this story, I'm pretty devoted to the illusion, you will see that like that's also a sacred path, because it's got to be right time, right place, right person. If it's not right for their journey, you're going to look at that and you're going to be like, okay, I honor that for you. I honor that for us. And you still will not go down to them. So like that relationship may shift. The dynamic of that relationship may shift, and your sense of internal safety will not be rocked. Your internal sense of power will just stay put. You will just be like, okay, got it. I love you. Any path you take, I love you. I wish that I could have completed the agreements in my business like that. I didn't have it in my blueprint yet. I was very much so what I call like I call it Princess OS, which is essentially like our girlhood blueprint of like how to receive love. I was not in my womanhood energy. I was not in my leadership energy. So this is my invitation. Again, we start in January, but I'm probably going to have all of this filled by like the first week of December. I don't really want to keep I don't want to keep promoting and launching much further than into December. So like my intention is to like fill the majority of the spots by like the end of the first week in December. So that we can enjoy the rest of the season and just know that as soon as January kicks off, like lighter and lighter and lighter, baby. Lighter and lighter and lighter. I love you guys. This was such a pleasure. If you got something from this and you're like, I know exactly who needs to hear this, sharing is caring. If you bring a friend in with you, if you're like, you know what, I'm going to apply, I want to do Spine of a Queen, and you bring a friend with you, please email me because we would like to thank you, and we'll make sure that we also give you a nice little affiliate commission as an appreciation. And if you want to, you can split that affiliate commission with your friend. You guys can both get a discount. Spine of a Queen is a $25,000 investment total. We do have payment plans. We do have awesome pay in full bonuses. And yeah, what else do I want to tell you? I just keep thinking, I'm like, man, I could have paid $25K versus the 35 or the 55 or the 100, like in all of the delayed decisions. And then what would I do with the rest of that money? I looked at my friend who had like the 100K investment loss and my other with the 55. I'm like, man, you guys would have each had like 25 and 75 left ish. That was quick math, girl math, podcasting math. You could have like taken that as like an investment into like a small investment property, a laundromat or like something, or like put it into your crypto accounts, or that money could have been making money. But all good. Could have gone into ads. Like all good, all good, all good. One of the things that I do want to say is like sometimes like when we end relationships and there is conflict after, I do believe the majority of the time that happens because we trigger people out of their hearts when we leave our hearts because we're afraid. And then we both respond from our girlhood blueprints or like our childhood blueprints. And it's just like a tough situation for everyone. So sometimes we're mad and we're like, wow, that person did not receive things well. Look how triggered they are. And like we don't take accountability for how we like led the trigger just because our trigger seemed benign because we've been so used to it for so long. So just an opportunity to look at like, I really fucked that up or I could do better, or I'm devoted to doing better and I won't move from that blueprint again. That is what Spine of a Queen exists for. Your self-trust becomes unshakable. Your sense of internal safety becomes unshakable. Your sense of internal power becomes uncircumstantial. New life unlocked. I love you guys. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Please rate and review. I never remember to ask you guys that, but it's so beautiful and amazing when you guys rate and review this podcast or share with a friend. Thank you. Love you. And that's a wrap on today's episode of More Live. But you already know the conversation doesn't end here. In fact, if you check the show notes, you will see that there's a link where you can essentially like leave us a voicemail. You can comment on today's episode, tell us what was your mic drop moment, and you can also ask questions. Your audio might be featured on a future More Live episode. So also, if something in today's episode really hit home with you, share it. Think about somebody who might need to hear that. And you guys already know, I love chatting with you guys in the DMs. So come over to Instagram, slide into my DMs and tell me what hit hardest today. I want to hear from you. And if you want to keep this energy going, you already know, let's make this official. Subscribe, leave a review, and let's turn this shit into a movement because you know, the more live you feel, the more live the world becomes.